Hello. Some people in my Discord server had the idea to pay a Nigerian woman on Fiverr to write a creepypasta about a haunted pair of earphones. And here's my reading of the story now that she's finally completed it. If you want to join the server, the link will be in the description. It's good fun and nice. Earpod. I could hear my heart thudding repeatedly against my chest. The sound of it together with the blasting music that just wouldn't stop playing in my head were making my ears drip red. In that moment I thought of every single story I had ever heard and how much I never believed in them. Holding a rotted ear on my left with an earpod and my mum's locket on my right, that definitely gave me a change of belief. It was on a cloudy morning. I had just dropped off the trash bag as my mum instructed and was on my way toward a car boot sale that came up on Craigslist. My dad and I used to visit so many car boot sales when he was alive. For some reason he loved buying used property. Now I just do it in memory of him. By the time I arrived, people were already there, but no one seemed to be buying anything. There was a strange aura around the sale, and the people weren't friendly. I was just about to leave when I noticed a shiny white earpod. It looked simple, and mine was broken, so I decided to get it. "How much this is for?" I asked the shady-looking seller. No reply. Perhaps he didn't hear me. I called his attention again. This time he just raised a hand to his mouth while moving his lips without making any sound. The seller was mute. My favourite thing about car boot sales was that the things were always very cheap. I got a cheap earpod and went home to try it. I lay on my bed, plugged in my new earpod and turned on one of my favourite songs, My Girls by Animal Collection. The rest of the week went by really fast and the weather remained grey. The new week came looking cloudy as well. School wasn't in session yet, so I didn't do much besides sit at home and stare at the TV all day. "I'm leaving for work, Annie," I heard Mum call from the stairs. "Okay, Mum." Have fun, and she was gone. Fun? How was I supposed to have fun alone at home? I could play video games online. I quickly checked online, but none of my friends were there yet. Deciding I had nothing else to do, since I didn't feel like going out, I brought out my earpod, turned on my favourite song, and put it on loop. My Girls played for a while, and I was really getting into it, until it suddenly changed to another song. It's a song I've never heard before. I made an attempt to change it, but then came static noise along with the music. Whiskey bar with brown noise. I could feel slightly painful movements in my bowels, and I couldn't bring myself to turn off the music. It played for a few more seconds with me frozen in place, then it just stopped, together with the movement in my bowels. That was weird. I was drawn out of my thoughts with the sound of my doorbell going off. Hold on a minute. I quickly threw my earpod on my bed and rushed to go see who it was. "Dude, I've been ringing for ages." I sighed. "Hey Lynn." "Nice to see you too, Anna. Don't tell me your cell phone fell in the toilet again," she said while walking back upstairs with me. "Sorry, I didn't hear it ring," I respond dryly. "What's up with you? You look paler than usual." "Nothing." I slumped back down on my bed. "I'm just feeling literally homesick." "Well, it's a good thing I'm here, right?" she asked with a grin. "Besides, you'd probably be a walking corpse without me around." She snickered, and I just huffed in reply. Lynn was my best friend, and also my only friend. I don't go out or socialise much, so I barely have any friends. "Look who's got a new earpod," Lynn chirped, swinging my earpod from side to side. I quickly rolled out of my bed, at a speed that surprised even myself. "Give it back," I tried to snatch the earpod from her, but she held it afar. "Lynn?" "Come on, I want to see it." She was just about to plug the earpod in her ear, when I made another attempt to snatch it away. "Give it back!" "Make me," she said, and in a matter of seconds I pounced on her, snatching my earpod away. "Jesus Christ, Anne, what's wrong with you?" she yelled, rubbing her elbows. I never responded, and that was the last time I saw my best friend for weeks. To add to it all, I strangely didn't care and wasn't bothered at all. In these past weeks I had forgotten about my earpod acting up. On a boring Sunday evening with the sky grey as ever, I sat by my window listening to Daft Punk. The music was groovy and I was nodding my head to the beat. That was when it happened. A drip. Something warm and liquid fell on my palm. Drip. And another red liquid fell on my hand again. This time I traced where it was coming from and instantly regretted it. Blood was dropping from my nostrils. I tried to clean it, but then my ears began to hurt. Another song began to play loudly on my earpod. It was a song I'd never heard before. I tried to turn down the volume, and all of a sudden a deafening tone blasted into my ears. The wave at which it came made me scream and try to protect my ears. I pulled on the earpod, but it wouldn't come off. It was stuck, and still playing painfully. The pain in my ear grew steadily until it became unbearable. I gave one determined pull at the wires and they finally came off, with one side cut and sent flying outside the window. As soon as the earpod came off, I threw the other side on my bed and rushed to go check my ears. They were both painful and stained red on the cotton I used. My ears were bleeding. The other piece was still playing loudly on my bed, and it wasn't even plugged to the source. Chills ran down my spine, and in my exasperated mood I took the earpod, threw it out the window, and curled back in my bed with my ears still hurting. The next morning I woke up to find a red stain dripping on my porch. I looked to see where it was coming from, and there it was, hanging from my window, the cut earpod. How is this possible? The earpod was playing the same deafening sound even when it wasn't connected to any source. I could feel my ears starting to hurt again. I quickly ran to my bed in fright and covered my ears with my pillow. Am I imagining this? Is this a dream? Or do I actually hear my supposedly broken earpod playing painfully outside my window? Please make it stop, I screamed with my hands on my ears. Annie, honey, are you okay in there? I heard my mum call, but I couldn't respond, too frightened to speak. Isn't she hearing it? Am I the only one hearing this? I'm fine, Mum, I managed. For nights I could hear the earpod playing ever so loudly outside my window. It was driving me insane, and I couldn't tell my mum. She would probably think I was insane too. My nightmare was finally brought to an end when one day the earpod suddenly stopped playing and disappeared. In my excitement at the newfound peace, I ran downstairs to meet my mum, only to find her laying on the floor, covered in blood. Mum? I shook her, but she just lay lifeless. That was the last thing I entered in the police report at age 14. 10 more years of silence and I'd forgotten about the earpod. I somehow made it through college and on my way to my first job interview. Memories of my mum weighed so heavily in my heart. I wished she could see me finally taking the big step. I let out a sigh as I continued to drive towards the company. It was a headphone company, and I was really excited to apply. With my mind set on my interview, I never would have thought it would happen, but it did. That dreaded sound from years ago, I could hear it loudly playing the exact same song, Whiskey Bar with Brown Noise. This can't be happening. I looked around to see if someone was playing a prank on me, but I was in my car alone and driving. Of course no one could be playing such a prank on me. I must be going insane. The song wouldn't stop playing, and I couldn't stop driving. I must have lost consciousness, because by the time I got off my car, I was in an abandoned factory, which was the complete opposite of where I intended going. The song was playing, my legs were shaking, something kept pushing me into the factory. There was no one there besides a table set in the middle of the factory. My heart kept thudding loudly against my chest. I couldn't stop walking towards the table. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice. What I found on the table completely froze me in place, and that same broken earpod from years ago, still playing My Girls by Animal Collective.